It's XL Primetime. Brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
You hear that awesome Modelo music, Modelo moment coming up before we are done. But that right there is your cue to get registered for UFC Fight Night. It is Saturday, noon at the arena, and Modelo hooking you up with a chance to go see it in style. And we've got qualifiers today and tomorrow, along with some from yesterday. And you will have a chance to win those UFC Fight Night tickets, courtesy of Modelo. So, JJ, answering those phones. But I got to remember, I'm glad he played this because this takes me down memory lane. This was the final show that this man was on. And he even had a mayoral send-off because Marilyn and Curry came rolling up. And Matty the Modelo Man. We were all there. As I look to my right and I see Hack taking us.
There were some tears, too.
Oh, he cried. He cried like a baby.
It was an emotional moment. Yeah.
It was emotional.
I was really saddened to leave Matt Hayes and our nice talks we used to have every afternoon here from noon to 3.
And then Mia's been...
I'm just sad that I was, actually, speaking of bachelorette and bachelor parties, I was at a bachelorette party that Friday in Arizona, so I did not get to witness hear this.
She's had to endure some of the hacker comparisons, and I don't know where they come from, but they do.
Well, you get ripped on the text line mercilessly like I do?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the comparison we're talking about here?
Well, also, Matt tried to, let's set the record straight on this one. I went to Harry Potter World, Universal and Islands of Adventure on Saturday, to which Matt was like, oh, my God, such a hacker move. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And I love Disney, but there's a big difference between Disney and Universal.
But you would
explain.
go to Universal, though.
Oh, I worked at Nickelodeon back in the day for a couple of summers, which was part of Universal until they moved everything to L.A. Yeah. I used to slime kids when I was 16, 17 years old. If I would not be in the wonderful world of sports radio, I might have actually pursued Nickelodeon or Universal Studios as a line of work. Yeah.
All right, now Hacker After Dark is sliding up today. So he's in the Frangie slot with Lauren Brooks. So we want to talk mock, and this is the time of year where you also sweat out a lottery pick, which you did not get what you wanted out of the lottery.
Well, we were due. I mean, after Paolo Banchero last year, I can't really complain.
Exactly. So what do you think will happen? And this is, after the big French is taken number one and those stinking San Antonio Spurs get better.
Well, first off, I mean, I've seen tape of him. I've watched a couple of games on ESPN. I have not watched a lot of French League basketball, but my gracious, when you have guys like Jay Billis coming out and saying he might be the best prospect in the history of team sports. I mean, the history of team sports.
That's hyperbole,
NFL, bro. NHL, NBA, you name it. I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see this guy. Unfortunately, he gets stuck in San Antonio. Not exactly a big media frenzy there. But as far as Orlando goes tonight, look, it'll be a big night. You got two really good young players in Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero. You have two additional lottery picks tonight, number 6 and number 11. So, yeah, I really like the way the Magic are going. And, boy, that Vucevic trade to Chicago, the Magic just fleeced them. That ended up being Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner, and number 11 tonight for Nick Vucevic. So that was a major, major win by the Magic in that trade.
You were all over Banchero, but you originally wanted Smith.
I wanted Smith. Banchero turned out to be much more than I ever imagined him to be. He's going to be an all-star. Franz Wagner's probably going to be an all-star. Yeah. So Orlando's in very good shape already, and you had 2 additional lottery picks, and they have the 4th most salary cap room in the NBA this offseason. If they want to, they could sign 1 or 2 pretty big-name free agents. So times are finally beginning to turn, it appears, in Orlando, Florida.
Let me ask, Hack, because I saw this headline, and this is tremendous writing by the folks at SB Nation. This is from yesterday. The Mavericks work out Dick ahead of possible, you guessed it, pick at number 10. They, of course, are referring to Grady Dick, who, in talking to some folks who cover the Magic on a weekly, daily basis over the weekend, they said they believe he could be a target for them at that number 12 spot. And obviously, we all know him from being a freshman sensation at Kansas.
I talked to Mark Wise of the ESPN family of networks. He's actually, we're going to play that on the Frangie show later on today. And he told me all I needed to know. He could potentially be Tyler Hero. And if he's Tyler Hero, I will gladly take that. Now, he's not Tyler Hero now. He's Tyler Hero when Hero was coming out of college, obviously. But Grady Dick is probably the best shooter in this draft. Orlando was 25th in the NBA in three-point percentages last year, so they need some shooting. So if Grady Dick is there at number 11, again, I don't know a lot about him. I did not watch a lot of Kansas basketball, but if he gets the Tyler Hero comparison from a guy like Mark Wise, that's good enough for me. I'd love to have him as a member of the Magic.
We're talking with Hack. Hack will be on Hacker After Dark, sliding up into the Frangie slot with Lauren Brooks this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So we're talking NBA because you're one of the diehards. You and JJ, and gosh, I don't know who I would put. Pross, I might put Pross third as far as an NBA fan. But anyway, you guys are up there. I feel like when you have the players that are coming out of the SEC, you got Alabama, you got Arkansas, you got the kid from Houston. There's enough good talent that are one and done, even though Brandon Miller is just in and out of our college basketball world. It's cool to see that type of talent coming into the NBA this year.
No, it is, but it's interesting because 4 of the top probably 6 picks skipped college entirely. Wembanyama obviously never played because he was in France. Scoot Henderson and then the Thompson twins never went to college. They played in the G League. So that's a trend that I hope doesn't continue, although I can't fault those kids for making a payday. Although with NIL now, we'll see how that goes. But no, Brandon Miller will probably be the first guy that went to college that gets drafted tonight. And people you talk to around the league, GMs are fine with him. Obviously, he had some serious off-the-court rumblings about him at Alabama, but people have done their due diligence. Cam Whitmore's a kid from Villanova that people really like. So, yeah, there'll be some college guys drafted pretty high, but I think an overwhelming majority of the top 5 are guys that never step foot on a college basketball court.
And what's you're a big fantasy draft guy. What's your fantasy right now for the Magic with these 2 picks? Do you trade one? Because there's a lot of talk in Orlando about trading one of the 2.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, and people laugh at me about this that follow the NBA, but I'll stand by it. I'm not saying they're the best, but if you take 25 years old or younger, a core 4, right? We talked about the Jaguar core 5. I think ESPN did that earlier this week. Take it to the NBA, a core 4. Wendell Carter, Markelle Fultz, Paulo Banchero, and Franz Wagner are all 25 years old or younger. Of those 4 guys, there's not a lot of teams that have 4 better players 25 years or younger. So do you want to add 2 more lottery picks to that? Or do you want to maybe trade a lottery pick or 2 for an established veteran? I mean, how much younger can you really get if you're Orlando? So I think they are doing their due diligence, talking trades, particularly for that 11 pick. But if they end up taking both picks tonight, I'm not going to complain about that. But I would like them. I'm happy with 19 and 20-year-olds. I'd like to see maybe a 27 or a 28-year-old.
Like who? Like who can you get with one of those picks, you think?
Because also you have to bear in mind, too, the holes on this roster. It's pretty much like backup center because Carter really hasn't played a full season, let alone a full game. He's only averaging, 22 minutes a game or something like that.
We don't know about Mo Wagner. He's a free agent. Mo Wagner's he's really a 4 that was playing a 5.
Correct. So that's really the only hole on the roster, and that's part of it, too, as you're trying to manage it.
Yeah, you're seeing Gary Trent Jr. is a guy in Toronto that just opted in, which was weird because people thought he was going to go to Orlando. Orlando was really interested in him with the rumors. Max Strus from Miami is another guy. It would be guys along those lines. If Orlando stands pat this year, potentially they could have 2 max contracts next year in free agency with that new CBA. So there's talk, if you're Orlando, do you draft the lottery guys tonight, have another really young team, and then have 2 potential max free agent contracts next summer? So that's something they need to consider as well. But I got to tell you, they went from 22 wins to 34 wins. I think they're going to improve that even more. And I'd be pretty surprised if the Magic weren't at least in the play-in tournament this upcoming year.
Let's look at that number 2 overall pick because we talked about it in the 12 o'clock hour. Charlotte Hornets slated Michael Jordan's final draft, presumably, as the front office executive of the Charlotte Hornets. And from what we heard, Hack, earlier, they've taken that pick off the board in Vegas. Caesars has taken it off because there's been movement with regards.
It went from plus minus by about, $600 bucks, something like that.
Right, in the span of 2 hours since Shams' report. So that is with regards to Brandon Miller, who you alluded to out of Alabama, and then Scoot Henderson, a guy who skipped college entirely. Knowing that they do still have LaMelo Ball on the Hornets roster, and he is their point guard, which of the 2 do you see following Victor Wembanyama and going second overall?
I mean, all indications are it's going to be Scoot Henderson, although, again, what is he, 6'2", 6'3"? I mean, do you draft nothing against 6'2" guys. I'd love to be 6'2", but in the NBA world, 6'2" doesn't exactly, fit the profile of a typical NBA top 5 pick. So everybody else that's going to be drafted tonight is either Wembanyama, who's 7'3", I guess, or a 6'7", 6'8" type swingman. And Scoot Henderson is obviously the exception at 6'2". So there's that to consider. I mean, the guy's a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him. But if you're Charlotte, I would go Brandon Miller personally, but it does not appear that's the direction they're going. So Brandon Miller looks like he's going to go to Portland at number 3 if the Trailblazers keep that pick. The one thing that's interesting is we're, 6 hours away from the number 1 pick being made. Apparently a lot of rumblings about veterans being traded. There's a lot of conversation. Will any of it come to fruition? Who knows? We saw Marcus Smart and Porzingis get traded last night, but a lot of big-time veteran all-star caliber players are being talked about 6 hours beforehand leading up to the draft.
Yeah, what color is Smart's hair going to be now that he's no longer in Boston, and what basically will happen with Dame? I mean, that's honestly the biggest one that could happen.
Well, I thought the Marcus Smart thing was huge for Memphis with that culture in that locker room, the John Morant stuff.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart
will help.
Is a beast, man. Yeah. He's a leader. He's a get in your face. We need to do it a certain way. I thought that was a great move for Memphis.
I like him a lot. All right, so you're jumping in at 3, but we're having a Rib Mania rib eating contest next Tuesday.
Yes.
I'm thinking about putting the throwdown on you right now.
Well, Matt Hayes was kind enough to give me some information on this last week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I will probably be sipping on some sort of alcoholic-type beverage in Orange Beach, Alabama next week as I'm on a little bit of a vacation. But I'll be with you guys in spirit.
You're on the run.
Well, I have a narrow esophagus, too, so you got to take that out.
I was just going to say, also, there's the problem
Can't
with
risk the hell.
Well, and the great thing about Joe, I mean, doing radio with him for 10 years, he offered to help me with that many times.
Oh, yeah,
but,
I had a solution.
Yeah.
But
thankfully, I got it taken care of, and I don't have that problem anymore. But if a rib eating contest, I don't think that would probably be the best thing to do for somebody with my medical history with the esophagus.
How about hot dogs?
Probably the same type issue.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going Joey Chestnut on anybody. I've always wondered, 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Could we do that in like 10 hours?
No,
I mean, 7 hot dogs an hour.
We did before I left the TV world. We did or local TV world, I should say. We did because we didn't want to risk the hot dog's esophagus. Obviously, I just had my tonsils removed, so I'm in the same family as you, Hack. We did the Nathan's hot dogs, the little pigs in a blanket.
Oh yeah.
We did those on the air. I think I did like 10 in 2 minutes, and like that was it. Like it settles in the stomach too. That's the other part of it. You can't handle it.
I just can't imagine. Hey, look, I watch it every year. I'll be locked in on July 4th to see what Chestnut does. It's an amazing hour of television.
I can't take the wet bread. I just can't take it. That's the thing that gets me.
It's pretty gross. I agree.
Every single time. All right. Thanks for hanging. And,
it's for America, man.
It is. It's totally un-American.
Yeah.
You can't wet the bread.
No, it's for America.
Yeah, but I'm saying
you guys should be able to overlook the wet bread and just understand the man as a patriot and a hero.
I'll be honest. I watched the introductions. I love
that guy. The MC is amazing.
It is just the best.
You ever want to get entertained? Go to their website. The hot dog eating contest is the Super Bowl, right? I mean, that's obviously their NBA Finals.
But the regular season.
They do this every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, the green
There's
bean
the potato salad one, the
funnel
coleslaw
cakes.
one, the donut
Potato
one.
salad.
They do it every couple of weeks. It's fascinating when you actually go to that website.
Yeah, and who was our Hall
Hunt? Oh yeah, I've had him on many times. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's our guy. All right, man. We will be listening later on and enjoy this afternoon and then enjoy next week in Orange Beach.
Having a serious case of deja vu. You guys take care.
You run from the rib eating contest. All right, we'll see you later.